Welcome back in, everybody. It's day number 2 of Double Duel here down at Game Arena. I'm Emily, joined here by Ty Munster, Hilda, bringing you all the action for the day. And we got ourselves a fun set of matches, a little bit of a weird format today. We're going to be jumping back and forth between our two titles. But right here, right now, we've got our winners finals, Scholars of the Game, taking on Ohio Northern.
Yeah, Ohio Northern had a really good day yesterday, right? They 2-0'd both of their opponents, as you can see here. They are looking very dominant, right? Their Baldwin Wallace matchup was not especially close. But I do think it's important to mention that Scholars of the Game upset the first seed, right? First seed was Shawnee State. Shawnee State was expected to place higher than Ohio Northern. So it's going to be a very real question if Scholars of the Game are able to take on ONU in this matchup, right? ONU hasn't really had that top 3 test.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this matchup is going to come down. We were talking about it yesterday. I forget if it was towards the end of, I think it was towards the end of the day where we were kind of doing our full day wrap up, where we were saying that this is an event where we realistically could be looking at a double ONUW going into the end of the day. And I think this is really that first test. Scholars of the Game, obviously, as you said, they upset the first seed. Coming in as a mixed team, they have a little bit of that unpredictability. And we were able to talk with some of their players where they talked about, hey, even though we're this mixed team, we do kind of have this almost underlying structure that makes us maybe not as practiced as a collegiate team, but definitely with the synergy that you would expect from some of these top-level collegiate rosters.
Right, and even just one scrim that they had yesterday, right? Those their matches could be considered on the same level, right? It's not as much playtime, it's not the same, but it's in the same ballpark, right? Just being able to play together that little bit extra can catch this team up to speed in every match that they play. Even when they lose, catches them up faster than the other teams.
Yeah, and the start of this already, jumping into these early round bans, Scholars electing to take out the Gambit early on, Ohio Northern doing the same but with the Groot. So I'm very excited to see how this is going to impact, because we saw the level of play that Secret was able to output on that Groot throughout the entirety of their group stage games. I think having that off the board is going to be a very interesting shakeup for this roster.
Yeah, like you said, I think that the Groot has been really strong here for Scholars of the Game. Secret's been able to do some nasty stuff with it, the Strangling Prisons in particular. I feel have been exceptional from this player of all players in the bracket, and we see that Deadpool ban away on the tank role. That's going to be the next ban coming out here for Scholars of the Game, who they are one of the only teams I think I've seen not want to pull that out as another ban coming in here.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, Scholars, I think one of the teams that's consistently banded out, they see some sort of impact that it brings, that they're whether it's kind of that idea of, hey, could it make our team better? Yeah, but do we want to necessarily, give the other team the opportunity to pull that? Maybe not. As the side of Ohio Northern banning out Namor, the Scholars' defense of Punisher, I'm not surprised about at all. But walk me through that second Ohio Northern ban here, taking out one of the newest character I think that we have available to play here.
Right, she is the newest character. I think that Elsa is a good ban here. We did see her not very often, but what it does tell me is that they want to play, something a little bit more damage focused, but at that mid range, right? They want to play a little bit more anti-dive. That's why you protect the Namor without having to worry about that super long range pressure that an Elsa can provide, that a Widow could provide maybe, but Widow and of course Hawkeye are not as prevalent. That close range as well that Elsa can not struggle, but exemplify, right? It's that sort of close and far compared to the Namor, which is that solidly mid-range that I think I'm going to see Ohio Northern play for.
I mean, looking at this composition, I definitely think that has some legs. And looking at the selections, at least for Scholars, looks like nothing too out of the ordinary to me. Roku on that Punisher. We see Suwu's on the Cloak and Dagger. I feel like all of that was pretty standard stuff. The only real change of pace that I think we're really seeing is on the side of Secret having to opt for the Emma Frost as opposed to the Groot, because it got banned out. So he has to flex over to something a little bit different.
Yeah, I do think that, the Emma is a good pick. Emma has not been played a lot in this bracket so far, right? She's probably been one of the least played tanks. It's not quite at the level as some of these tanks. I think this is the third time we've seen a Hulk, and that's still somehow more than Emma, but when you compare it to the the likes of trying to even think of any, like Penny. I don't think we've seen any more than like a round of Penny, right?
I was gonna
Four
say,
has not been played.
I think we've seen it once, maybe twice from BW, but that was about it. The one thing that I will say, as we get into this first point, area hasn't quite unlocked yet, so we're gonna start to see a little bit of this contest, is maybe a little bit of a concern for Ohio Northern. Scholars of the game, they've opted for a dual flyer comp, bringing in both the Iron Man and the Ultron Iron Man, already getting taken down by Broden. Mindless able to get the trade, but with a potential lack of hit scan on the side of Ohio Northern, I could see these flyer comps, especially when we get to some of the more open air positions in these maps. Things could get a little bit problematic if Ohio Northern isn't able to really rein them in.
It doesn't seem like it's mattering too much, though. The caps doesn't come through, but ONU still has that player advantage. Iggy's going to cancel that out. 2 kills, make it 3 thanks to Timmy Opera. Not a bad little conversion there. They were at a pretty significant disadvantage. Scholars of the game lost 2 in that scrap. ONU lost 1, but the cap just never came through, which has been one of the things Ohio Northern has exemplified, is now the switch over to the Angela for Harry.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like that has to come down to the impact that the 2 supports for Scholars of the game has. Like, Suwu's obviously being the primary one. We've seen the prevalence that they've had on those, on Cloak and Dagger, Ultron, also obviously from Opera, putting out not only decent support, but also great damage to really exemplify and keep this team ahead whenever it comes to that damage output.
It comes in the Moral, it'll hit 1. Can they find the conversion on this kill? Yes, just barely as Secret goes down. They try to pop the Soul Bond, and there we go, the Pulse Torpedo goes in as well. And it doesn't hit a single target as ONU drop their support ultimate as well. 16 HP, and that's going to be the kill onto Iggy. And this seems like a fight for ONU to claim.
Yeah, it really looks like it, and believe the cap is going to come through. Last one on the line, Roku, but he will get taken down. Scholars of the game with a solid over 50%, 56 now, so definitely giving themselves a little bit of a cushion, but don't really want to let ONU run away with this, because we know ONU, they like to, they're good on their caps, and they're good on stalling out, especially with the movement that we're seeing Harry with this Angela. Not quite going to be able to get any picks from this specific position, but he'll be able to provide so much pressure, and he's in this backline. I don't think anyone spotted him quite yet. Secret going to be the one to get the opening pick, along with the double pop of tank ults.
I don't even know what I just saw that block there, Emily.
Yeah, it looked like it was the Angela block, but Angela is so low on HP, should really get taken down here, and will. It's going to be a combination of kills from the DPSs, both able to shut down ONU and able to start to exercise their own control over the point.
Actually, I think that might have been the Hela ult that blocked it from Barbaric Eric. I think he might have gone into the sky. I saw some green there. It did take 2 ults from Scholars of the game, but they still were able to get it off the line. And yeah, confirmation from our producer was the Hela ult, as that's another ult available for Iggy, but this ult's all along, and it's starting to look good for ONU.
Have the insta-pop from the Invisible Woman, able to keep things a little bit in control. As you mentioned, Iggy and Roku both with ults on the board, and we're going to see that final judgment pop. Magneto trying to go for the isolation, will be able to get it. Maximum Pulse unable to come through, gets shut down just by the Namor primary. Secret able to find one in response, but ONU looking like they should have a recap here. If they are able to shut down these last few from Scholars. Mindless last up gets brought down, and Scholars, they only need 1 team fight for them to take back control of the point. But ONU, they've been fierce in these holds, so it could be a little bit more difficult than they anticipate.
Yeah, and there's going to be only 1 ultimate on the field here. Critically, I know that I keep bringing it up, but ults really define hero shooters like this, and when you've got 1 on the field for either team, if ONU can stall this fight out without providing an ultimate to the team, especially with Secret switching over to the Strange, sacrificing about a quarter ult charge there, that will mean Ohio Northern could potentially win this map, or this round rather, off of a single fight.
Yeah, it's looking like a definite potential, especially at 70% right now. Going to be able to pop the Namor ult. Will get a little bit of impact, but no picks found directly off of it. Looks like when you're trying to extend forward, maybe to take this fight, but Iggy and Opera able to find the first two. Iggy will be able to find another. We're going to be seeing the power of this Hawkeye coming through. Able to get a lot of damage in there, and it is going to be Scholars able to take that control. Broden with the last-minute swap over to the Dr. Strange, so we're going to be able to see a stall come in at the last second. Except I'm mistaken, and Scholars will get that round.
And not quite enough time to set up the portal. Didn't respawn in time for that one. Didn't switch over, whatever it may be. Just didn't have the time to set things up there. And I feel a little vindicated here at the call that I think Hawkeye, right? Not the strongest hero as Iggy switched over to it. Aced so far, right? Started off on the Iron Man, now over to the Hawkeye. I made the call earlier that I think ONU want to play for that mid-range, and we're going to see them sacrificing the Namor for Bronden and switching over to the Moon Knight to help counteract the value that this longer range, higher burst damage of the Hawkeye can provide.
Yeah, it's one of those considerations that you have to take in, and that's the thing with a hero shooter, especially with how fluid the swapping is inside of Rivals, with less of the kind of character build-up aspects that Overwatch has, with things like perks and a little bit more lenience with alt charge getting transferred here and there. The mid-round swaps that you can see from a lot of these teams, they can really define an entire team's style, because you have these people with wide character pools, so they can just say, okay, this isn't working, let's try this instead. Let's try this instead and see if it works.
There's going to be some early poking. The ultimate available for Tame Opera. We'll drop it immediately just right onto Harry, who's got to back away from this one now, and they're not going to be able to fight this one too much. In fact, they're going to lose out one. Broden to Secret as the Meteor M dropped in to try to cancel out this ulti, and yes, it'll be successful.
Yeah, an effective usage of only the two alts necessitated from Scholars to get that early control, and they've got 3 now. Well, 2 actively. It's going to be 4 by the time that the next team fight really comes around. So Scholars already winning the alt economy here, both on what's on hand. If they allow this fight to go long enough, they'll be even with Ohio Northern, but Opera already almost halfway to his ult, so we could be seeing another one of those Invisible Woman alts coming out in the next team fight or so.
We should be seeing one coming out here as Khonshu makes his call. It doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot, but there we go. Secret finds the kill. The Invis ult, the Meteor M. Everything's being pumped in except for that Invis ult, which you're going to hold on to for now. The final judgment didn't do a whole lot here either, Emily.
Yeah, the response from the use of the what do you call it? The Moon Knight ult really forcing Roku. He couldn't play just on full open ground just to look for as far as he wanted. Really had to play in that corridor, and it limits the amount of impact that can have, especially for a hard hit scan player who, you know, could just be like, all right, you're in the air, you're on the ground, it doesn't really matter, I just have better tracking and you are going to die.
Harry's going to be able to find this one overextended kill, as long as, like, not just the one, right? There was the second one earlier. Lexi Wuxia also fell down, right? So there's 2 supports missing. You're going to have to wait for those respawners, as ONU are going to be able to just keep this percentage climbing, nearing the halfway point.
Yeah, able to take their lead in this, at least in this map. And this is one of those things that we were talking about on that first point. ONU, they're good at the brawl to get the point, but they're also really good at holding. They're a team that can really force you to respect the space that they take, because they are a team that likes to take a lot of space.
I mean, look at this. Iggy is dead again. I think that's just Bronden walking down the flank and finding the opportunity to just isolate a target. Iggy has died before the fight twice now. They haven't had the chance for a full fight as the hand of Khonshu comes out, and that's Lexi Wushi's gonna die again. They have not had a real fight here, Scholars, the game in a while.
No, they really haven't. It's been that first team fight that they were able to win, but from like beyond that, really unable to do anything. And the Twins' impact from Ohio Northern could be coming out, but Secret and Iggy will be able to find 2. Broden will find the pick on the Mindless, but Iggy getting that instant trade. ONU still with 1 on the point. Iggy will get that pick, and Barbaric, he's gonna have to drop back, and crucially for Scholars, they were able to get that pick before, or that point before OT comes in, so they'll have given themselves a little bit of a cushion if ONU is able to break back in. tied even at these alts, and those without really not close to it whatsoever. Final Judgment for Ohio Northern is going to come out the insta pick onto Iggy. This could really be a tide turner.
Yeah, but so much damage being pumped out for both of these teams. Another Meteor M, I think, got dropped in as the Eye of Agamotto calls for Secret, but there's not much more to be used for Old Scholars. The game are missing their Punisher, and it looks like Ohio Northern have nothing to do but win the fight.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get it, and unfortunately unable to touch our Scholars. That's ONU equalizing it, forcing this third round of our first map.
And that one wasn't very close, I have to say, I think. The first round was pretty back and forth at times, right? Both teams had kind of that chance to win here and there. But that second round was a lot more one-sided. Ohio Northern really stamping control on the map there.
It wasn't quite ONU all day, but it definitely was ONU with major control of the map and of all of that space. And I mean, looking forward, Iggy going to be swapping over, going back to that triple support game plan. Single DPS for Roku.
What could you and I possibly have in common,
Realistically,
Magneto?
it's going to be a little bit of a different look, but returning back to, if I'm not mistaken, more of what we saw on that map #1. And I know we've seen it work in the past, so Scholars looking to see if they're able to bring it and take control of this map.
I mean, so far it's been a bit of back and forth, right, for these teams. Ohio Northern, they started off on the Namor, then they switched over to the Moon Knight. Scholars of the game, this is their response to the Moon Knight. After, you know, the Iron Man was losing out, they switched off, and now the Hawkeye has been swapped out again for this Ultron. If they can make this one work out, then we're going to see potentially how the rest of this triangle can work. So much damage on the Roku early there from Brondon.
Yeah, that could have been a very costly early pick, but Roku able to move back, able to reconvene with the rest of his team. And we already see the Moon Knight coming out. Harry will be able to find one, but Roku and Secret, they're both able to find one of their own. Broden should be able to get this pick, but he won't be able to find it. Gets shut down. Roku with another 2, and that's Scholars. I mean, not on the point, but they're going to be able to respond and get this, well, response percentage as ONU was able to get the initial capture.
You're not too upset with that, though, for ONU, right? You did force quite a lot of effort and quite a lot of fighting there, and you got that initial cap. It doesn't get you a ton, right? But they're only just now equalizing for students of the game, whereas before, like, you just wouldn't have had that 12%. You do have the opportunity, right? If things come down to the wire, you can thank this early fight for winning you potentially the round, depending on how things go.
Yeah, we see the Captain America ult come out, but the combination of the Final Judgment and the Invisible Woman kind of creates a fortress. And I mean, I know this is an Overwatch broadcast, but kind of reminds me of like old bunker comps where you would just set up on a line and say, you are not getting past this. And that double ult combination, it stalls out. Iggy able to find one through all of the chaos. And it allows for Scholars really to stabilize here, finding a lot of really good picks.
Nearing the halfway point this time for Scholars of the game is, I mean, Harry's going to try to find a cheeky kill onto his mirror there, mindless, but they're going to be able to survive for now. But look at this, they're actually taking a lot of damage. Might have overextended here. If they can get the punish, Ace Llama, 1 HP in a dream, will be able to survive that one. Ohio Northern were able to do so much damage in that interim that they're going to walk in here fairly comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that I think is a big shift that we're seeing, a lot of these ults getting picked. Eye of Agamotto only finding one. Broden able to get the response onto 2, taking out 2 of the 3 supports. Third one is going to drop, and that realistically should be a team fight win for Ohio Northern. Yeah, getting those picks. Roku, last one up, will get dropped. Stagger isn't going to be that bad, but ONU, they're going to have back this control, and I don't want to say it needs to be flawless, but it's got to be darn close. If Scholars are able to get a clean win, 85%, ONU is going to be scrapping for a final touch.
I mean, they will be able to get the Strange portal out, right? They haven't played Strange up to this point, so they will be able to get that one through. A nice little snag there onto Happy Waffles, or Half Waters, rather. I don't know why I read Happy Waffles. But Scholars of the game, they put themselves in a comfortable position, but they can't get too comfortable. They can't sit on their laurels.
Yeah, the unfortunate case is, it looks like Insta getting picked out of her own ult. Only ult on the board for Scholars is going to be mindless, but it doesn't even look like they need it. Half Waters and Harry, last 2 left alive. Tapwater's, he is not going to be allowed to escape. Scholars, they're going to be able to get this capture. And now, like you said...
Rodin's already on the tank.
Yeah, it's going to have to be the swap. The portal, it's looking like it'll be coming through barely in time. Oh, but it's a little weird, the double portal. It's going to make some of that movement strange. Triple pop of ults on the board for Ohio Northern. Scholar with a 2 of their own response. Third coming through for Secrets. Not going to be able to find really any big impact, but Broden able to find a big 2, and it's just the kill feed is only Ohio Northern. They're going to be able to get that capture, but Scholars have got a lot of time to work with here. It's not quite the map, but ONU, they're exercising their control and really trying to make this a 1-0 lead for them.
His last fight territory here, even though it's at 70%, there's not really enough time to lose a fight and then take another one, right? You just invested your strength portal. It's got about a 2-minute cooldown, if I'm not mistaken. So you're not going to have that at any point here for Scholars of the game. You will have to make this fight work, and if anybody dies, that'll be the round.
Yeah, the Captain America all coming out already, trying to get aggro. The Eye of Agamotto finds 3. But for the side of Scholars, they don't have any ults to respond with. Phaser able to find the first onto Roku. Still have a lot of high DPS characters on the board for the side of Scholars. But the insta-pop of the Invisible Woman all comes through. Iggy popping his as well, trying to execute some force, execute some control, but no picks to be found. Scholars, they will drop as well. Iggy out of the combat, but Secret's able to find 2. You might be able to force more here.
Secret's the hero right now. A clutch 3 in the spot, and Temmie enough time to bring out the Invisible himself. 4 now for Scholars of the Game's tank players. Secret has clutched biblically. There will be another toucher for Half Waters, but the shove away brings him all the way over the line.
Yeah, scrappy at the end, but Scholars, they're able to bring the heat and bring it through, taking map number 1 of this potential best of 5. And I mean, from that first round, you'd be, well, from that second round, you'd be a little maybe misguided on what to expect from this series. Scholars, they're able to scrape it by at the end.
It's close. It's very close. Tomo Opera was a pretty big performer, right? Gets the MVP. I do think that there were better players. You know, that's just kind of one of those Marvel rival things. When you look at the healing, though, that is what I call a big number.
I mean, yeah, 39K, call it just shy of 40, only 7 behind it. Like Suwu's not that far behind, 36, and that's just both of the healers for the side of Scholars able to outclass the healers of the side of Ohio Northern. And I mean, taking a look more towards those DPS numbers, Iggy flexing back and forth, but still 19K, mostly on that Ultron. Roku with the solid 22, and both your tanks a combined over 90K damage blocked from just those 2 players alone.
But if there's anybody who put on an MVP performance this map, it was Brondon. Look at that damage number, my friend. 35,000 with 17 final blows. More final blows than Lex had on eliminations in general. Ridiculous performance there from Brondon. And a lot of it came down to that Moon Knight play, right? They tried to protect the Namor, but the Moon Knight looked so good.
Yeah, it was a really big output, and I wonder if that's a potential shift up going into this map number 2. Scholars obviously electing for the first ban to be onto that Gambit, and I definitely see where that impact was coming out. We saw a lot of big impactful Gambit play, especially in that ONU BW matchup, both teams having those mirror Gambits, the Royal Flushes getting popped at around the same time, and we saw ONU just able to scrape it by. So Scholars definitely putting that work in, but I could see a world where the Moon Knight gets banned out early as either that second or maybe even that third string if ONU just tries to float it by, tries to just not say anything and just try to slip it under the table.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the question, right? Do you want to try to go for a risky ban here and go for the Moon Knight as your first ban here, right? Sacrifice that Gambit that you were talking about. It's a risky play, it's a risky maneuver, but if you can pull it off, then all of a sudden, right, you might be willing to sacrifice this second map here and instead go for something closer to, you know, banning away excuse me, the Moon Knight for this first ban. But they're still going to go for the Gambit ban. They don't even want to risk that. They don't want to give away any potential first map to ONU.
Yeah, they're gonna stick tried and true, and I got no problems with this. I think it's a very reasonable round 1 ban. Gambit, I think, is still one of the strongest, just by and large healers. ONU gonna go very targeted in that round 1. I was surprised that we didn't see it in the last map, taking out Roku's Punisher. We saw some good play from him on the Phoenix coming through in some of those other matches. So, not super surprised about that. And the round 1 defense of the Moon Knight, again, nothing too out of the ordinary here.
And Scholars of the Game are going to pretend that Ultron that has been doing so much work for them, it's not actually been that good, but it has been a necessary rotation piece for them, right? They're not starting on it, they're not locking it instantly, they don't find it a necessity, but they are picking it up. And I do wonder if Scholars of the Game win this next map, right? Do they want to try to ban the Moon Knight first? I know I just brought that up for this map, but do they want to see if Ohio Northern value the Protect on the Gambit, right? Will they value the Protect? Can you get away with banning Gambit second and Deadpool third? I think the third bans for Scholars of the Game so far have been less impactful as the Iron Man comes out. Another targeted ban specifically to Iggy. The DPS have been identified as the main ban target for Ohio Northern.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the one issue for the side of Ohio Northern as they protect the Captain America, not super surprised to see that. We saw Half Waters putting a lot of work in on that, is I think Scholars have just been opting for this triple sub comp. I've been seeing them trying to do the 2-2-2, but I feel like the triple support with the usage of that Ultron has been very impactful, and that's something that I'm a little surprised to see that Scholars were able to get away with the Protect of the Groot second round. We saw a very targeted attack onto Secret early in the game. We saw it very fast that Ohio Northern wanted that out of conversation. They did not want to see that. Obviously, we're going to see Half Waters be able to play that, but giving Secret back that Groot, one of the characters we've seen him have so much value on, I'm very interested to see this gamble play from Ohio Northern.
And this is another weird ban from ONU, the Hawkeye, right? It's not the most important part of that rotational piece. It seems to be in particular best against the Namor, or potentially, right, this Phoenix. It can do some work, I'm sure. But Hawkeye versus Wolverine, if you're planning on playing the Wolverine, I feel like you might want to consider keeping around the Hawkeye and banning something else that deals with the Hawkeye or deals with the Wolverine, right? You could even consider something like, do I want to ban a Namor myself?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about this Hawkeye ban. It feels like almost a misread on how important it is to the compositions. Because for the side of Scholars, I mean, opting to go for the 2-2-2, like Suwu's back on the cloak, which I will be 100% honest, I'm very surprised that we haven't seen any movement towards that. I feel like they have been really just that player that has been the difference maker for the side of Scholars. Obviously, Tomo, no disrespect, still able to provide great impact on that second healer, but maybe it's just one of those things where it's like Ace Llama just provides too much on that Cloak and Dagger, or doesn't have anything that they can really shift over to keep themselves in conversation. But either way, things to consider for next map.
This poking and prodding phase, they're just going to have to see which corner it is that Ohio Northern want to hold on to. Well, Mindless might have found the doorway is a little bit more holdable for the other team. Roden earliest lead on the ult charge, 50-60% now towards that Phoenix. Building up slowly but surely, but look at this, an engage has brought in Secret to the middle of the team.
Yeah, he was dragged so far back, but the insta-res of TM Opera on that rocket, it allows for him to respond and get back into the team fight without really having to wait that. Unfortunately, Iggy going to be dropping as well, and that is a full charged Wolverine on your screen. The charge is going to drop down, but that, I think, is going to be one of the biggest things that Scholars have to contend with. Already, Tomo able to get that out, the ult on the board, and Lexu is with the twins, and that's going to get popped as well. Try to provide a lot of pressure and potentially have a pass. Opera and Secrets both able to find one of their own. And Lex, so far back in this, going to be able to escape as Tomo, he finds another, they find another, sorry, and continues forward. Roku with another pick, just providing a lot of stagger onto this ONU squad. Scholars really look like they found their groove in this game.
Yeah, don't worry, I spun the wheel. Tomo she/her for this match.
Yeah, I realized that as soon as I said it. I was like, ah, man.
Whatever. Any all means any all. But I think actually that Ohio Northern used the end song Inferno to break the Rocket Ball, break the Sia in that last map. And this Meteor End, not able to find anything after already the Twins have been invested, the group strangling Prison, just jumps right into it. And look at this. Now it's the Invis Ohio Northern are not going to give this one away at all.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get those last 2 picks. A nice goal line defense for ONU. They're able to stall out whatever Scholars may have been planning, and the issue with that is Scholars just no ults on the board and nothing even incredibly close. Closest is going to be Tomo's, but I mean, you know, her ult, it definitely will provide pressure, but it's none of those real game changers like we see out of stuff like the Twins or the entanglement from the group.
Big fight here, big brawl here. Secret's been bullied. I will note, one of the things about not banning away the group is if you're able to make the Wolverine work into it, Wolverine group might be one of the hardest matchups for a 1v1 in this entire game, and not even in a literal sense, just in a, how the heck do I play this character into that character? Because group feels unplayable into Wolverine.
Yeah, and that might have been one of the reads that ONU had whenever they allowed that group through, because also it allows for Half Waters to be on that, and it's a character we've seen him have so much more impact on compared to that Captain America, which I'm a little surprised to see considering that he was saved. That Phoenix ult coming in, it'll be able to find a little bit of impact, but it won't find any sort of pick. Scholars, they're able to stabilize, and the Twins coming through, but Magneto ult, it'll find a little bit of connection. No kills so far, to stay even at 6 apiece.
Look at this. Look at how Barbaric Eric is just able to walk in. 5 people in, by the way. It'll have to be the invisible barrier to protect people, but finally the Strangling Prison will end this mile-long fight with 10 seconds left. Scholars of the game have no time, and 111 meters seems to be where this payload will end.
Yeah, it is not looking good. Scholars with the inability to touch, so they are going to need a full defense here. And like you said, that Wolverine, really, really impactful. Scholars might have to change up their strategy. Secret might have to swap away from the group that we've seen have so much impact onto something that allows them to stay up maybe a little bit more. Is gonna opt to go for it as we see these comps start to form. I like the adaptation happening here. I am very interested to see if these picks come through, especially for the side of Scholars.
Yeah, not only is the group struggling against the Wolverine, but we're seeing the impact that it makes when Roku doesn't have access to that Punisher, right? Trying to struggle to find a hero that he feels comfortable on, but it's going to be the Moon Knight currently hovered. Mindless looking at Penny. A weird pick. I think this is the second time we've seen Penny played in this tournament, and I think it's been the same map both times.
I think it has been, because I think we saw it in this this map here the last time that, like, when ONU and BW were clashing yesterday. I'm interested. It is going to be the swap away, and it is going to be the side of Scholars opting for the triple sub comp. Not super surprised to see them opt to go for something like this. The only thing obviously limiting is going to be Roku on that Moon Knight. Not the Punisher that he's been displaying absolute dominance on, but still definitely a character that we've seen hard carries come from. It'll be a matter of adaptation as we get into round number 2.
I do think there's a bit of a question here, right? Can the Ultron make it work without that second flyer? And that Iron Man ban that we saw earlier, they're really feeling the repercussions of it. Without this double flyer, that's another thing that's helping the Wolverine succeed so much, right? They can't just protect this backline from the Wolverine with that Iron Man combo. And I think if the Iron Man was here, we would not be seeing Wolverine.
Yeah, and that's going to be an early pick from Half Waters onto Roku. Barbaric Eric able to get in full stacks now, trying to find big impact. Looks like he's going to be held back for just the time being. He's going to be able to open up. Phaser gets the pick onto Secret. And this is really just looking like ONU bullying the side of Scholars. Barbaric will get that pick onto Tomo. Iggy dropping down, and yeah.
There's no ults coming online. Secret has to switch over to the Strange, sacrificing one of those tank picks, if they can even make it back, and it seems like they will just barely, and with that invisible barrier as well. The end song Inferno drops in. It doesn't seem to be doing diddly squat thanks to the invisible barrier, but I mean, there's not much more that Scholars of the Game are going to be able to do unless these Silver Portals will start to help them find kills. The Hand of Kanshi will drop in as well as the Eye of Agamotto. But something needs to happen. Kills need to finally happen. There we go. Roku with 2, Secret with 1, and things are starting to look up for them. But Ohio Northern are not done yet. They find another kill thanks to Half Water, but Mindless might have shut things down for good.
Yeah, Scholars, they're able to respond. It's very scrappy, especially at this point. This goal line is going to come through the stagger onto Half Waters, so ONU, if they really want to move things back, it's gonna have to be, well, if they want to bring it back, it's gonna have to be here. Scholars now gonna be able to get a little bit more. Lexus and Mindless both with ults in that back pocket. Roku opting over towards that Phoenix is something we've seen him on, and it hasn't gotten no value. It's definitely been able to find stuff here and there. I just worry that whether it is enough or not. That's going to be the Wolverine already breaking ranks, trying to break through. He's going to be so low. Gets taken down by Iggy, and the double pop ult from Scholars. Mindless going to find 2 with that. Seer with another. This is actually looking really good for Scholars.
Not impressed, though. It was 2 ultimates against 1 in that fight for Scholars of the Game. They popped the Twins. They popped the Meteor M, and it doesn't impress me. Do you want to know why?
I mean,
because Ohio Northern have the ult advantage. Ohio Northern have time. They still have a full minute. Yes, they've had some bumps in the road, but they still have time. It does kind of depend. Is it going to matter if this Wolverine doesn't have the momentum, right, to build up full stacks? It might not matter when there's no support on the line.
Yeah, Ace Llama, the early shutdown by Roku, starting to find his footing on this Phoenix, seeing some big impact, especially on a map like this where he's just able to sit above. Finds the second pick onto Broden, forces more respect out of the side of ONU, and now things start to get a little bit scary. They're looking at sub-minute, 35 seconds, closer to 25 when you have the rest of your team up, and Scholars, they started to have a real conversation here. Sub-30 for ONU to get it across the board. Obviously 3 ults in the back pocket, but if you look at the Sky Scholars, 2 on board, including the Invisible Woman, along with Roku's ult, not super far, and we've seen Iggy build up this ult, and very quick. This could turn very dangerous for ONU very fast.
And if there's any one ult I would love to have beyond all else, it would probably be Secret here with the Eye of Agamotto, as there goes the song Inferno. It doesn't do much, but it doesn't need to, as it seems as though Scholars of the Game have impressed me despite my expectations, despite my thoughts. They have managed to win this one out. At the end of the day, Emily, they freaking win it.
Yeah, OT still on the clock, though, so Barbaric, he might be able to get the pop here of the Turtle, but it's not going to be in time. The goal line defense, we thought it was going to be a wash from the way that ONU was able to express their dominance, but Scholars, they take it one step ahead. And for ONU, that is a crushing defeat. You don't let them get a point on the board, and they hold you to less than that.
That is narrative setting, is what that is. That is Scholars of the Game proving that they are here to play, they are here to win. And one small thing I want to note is that this makes, I'm sure, that loser's bracket feel even more scary. If Ohio Northern drops there, that will mean that they are the least favorites to Shawnee State. Shawnee State coming in as the first seed, obviously, but how this bracket had turned out, it looked like Ohio Northern were the favorites just because of how things went. Now, Scholars of the Game have flipped that narrative on its head.
I mean, absolutely. Like, Scholars, because now it's like, okay, which one of these teams drops to the lowest bracket? You're either looking at Scholars of the Game, who went up 2-0, or you're looking at Ohio Northern, who get 3-0'd by Scholars, or you're looking at Scholars, who just got reverse swept by Ohio Northern. These teams have both given us real conversation points for both them. And I mean, you look across the board as these stat lines, the only thing that I think really stands out for me is Ace Llama, 37k healing in a losing effort, able to sustain the team so much on those goal line defenses in that first half, but just in that second point, unable to really output what was being found by that side of Scholars.
Yeah, and I'm just so shocked. I thought that as things were going on, that Hawkeye ban was a bit of a standout, but the ban strategy looked so good from Ohio Northern in a vacuum heading into that one. It just it's such a shocking, like that's the only word I can think to use, a shocking result for that second map. And I mean, we are going to have another, as it is first to three, best of five. We're not done yet, but we are going to go to a quick break as the players reconvene. This is their sort of halftime, and we're going to be back.
Was good, gang. We're back. More double duel action. If you missed the start of it, you missed already the start of a banger series. No matter which way this goes, there are going to be storylines just reverberating out the entirety of the bracket. Scholars of the Game taking a 2-0 lead over a scrappy map 1 and somehow a scrappier map 2.
Yeah, and between maps, we were talking about it a little bit, right? We're looking at map 3 coming in as Heart of Heaven. ONU has had the pick all 3 times, consistently able to get to where they want to be, where they feel the most comfortable. And I will admit, you have been a little bit kinder, a little bit more devil's advocate. This is something we were talking about a little bit on the break to Ohio Northern. I have been a little bit more rough to them. So here is what I will say to try to be a little bit kinder to Ohio Northern. It's not like neither of them have told me to be kinder. I'm just trying to, turn over a new leaf. I think that Ohio Northern, they are looking better as time goes on. Obviously, that last round that we saw wasn't great, but the second map was certainly better than the first. And now that they're changing up their ban strategy, going for the Ultron ban immediately and going for the Protect, this time onto the Deadpool, I like this little ban strategy, especially now because they're going to be able to protect whatever they deem most important, which does kind of make me feel curious what they do think is most important. It could just be that Moon Knight.
Okay, all right, sorry. This is getting actually very interesting because it feels like both these teams have drastically swapped up their ban strategies and their protect strategies. Already, we saw stuff go through. You talked about that Moon Knight. We see that Moon Knight get protected. We see the Tank Deadpool get banned. But that round 2 ban of the Cloak and Dagger, I think that's the first time that we've seen that get banned in any of the matches that Scholars have played. I think in most of the matches that we've covered this entire event.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing soul bond or eternal bonds rather for the entire tournament. The twins have been a necessary piece of every team's puzzle, and I think Cloak and Dagger has only been banned 2 or 3 times despite that, and this is going to be that second or third time. So Ohio Northern completely drastically different opinion on how they should be doing the bans compared to the past, as Rocket Raccoon is going to shut out any chance of a 3 support composition from Scholars of the Game. Last map, they had a full DPS ban. They realized it didn't work. They need to change things up, and now supports have been hard targeted. You're not going to see Iggy play support this map.
No, you're going to see him opt over for the Iron Man instead. TM opting to go for the Mantis?
Mantis.
Yeah, the Mantis instead. So I'm very interested to see how this new look support lineup is going to go. Mindless and Secret. Nothing major to mention. Wowzers, they're on Magneto and Groot. Who could have seen that coming? There's no Wolverine on the board.
I am curious to think about, right? Is this the first time we've seen Mantis in this bracket? At least on the casters?
I think, yeah. I can't think of a time that we would have seen it. And actually, okay, never mind. As we were changed away, massive changes in the lineup. Scholars opt to go for triple tank. Oh, never mind, double support. I thought they were going to go for triple tank single support, and I was going to call them insane.
Jeff, the new tank.
Yeah, whoa. But no, opting to go for Jeff, who I think this is the first time that we're seeing Jeff on the stream as well. So
they are doing triple support solo. Okay, no. They were just doing that to troll us. They were just trolling us.
I'm getting jump scared by things left and right. But we are going to see the Mantis come out, so it will be something new. The Moon Knight projectile already getting shut down, and we're going to see this Tank Deadpool, because we've seen it get banned out every time, so I'm excited and curious to see what the plan will be. Iggy already getting the first strike onto Broden, mindless with the second onto Harry. Roku with a third onto Barbaric, and I mean, there's no stopping Scholars at this point. 4 on the point instantly. It's going to force ONU back. They might be able to force a touch here with the full team, but with how fast that thing is ticking up and with Roku already moving forward, it is going to be the respect given. Scholars of the game, 5:40 on the clock to now move forward and push that payload.
I mean, now we have to start asking the question, right, is Half-Water's at 7% ult charge. Was it unnecessary to be banning the way the Deadpool this whole time, right? It's been a necessary fear, it seems, this entire time, right? We don't want to face Tank Deadpool. Nobody wants to face Tank Deadpool. Everyone's been banning it against students or Scholars of the game. And now it's finally online. It's not getting the value that we might have expected here from this team. Instead, it's been Scholars of the game rolling on through.
Yeah, very early into that round, they were just able to completely eliminate any impact that it had. Phaser, they'll get the first response, but Iggy with a very, very early pushback. And now, even numbers here for Scholars and ONU. But
ONU are actually down to 4 players here, so this fight, the fact that they're winning it is shocking me.
Yeah, able to express some control back, but Iggy and Secret both able to get one of their own. Secret will be able to find another and a third, actually. Keeps Scholars in the lead numbers-wise, and it really allows them to just continue expressing their control over this map.
Yeah, what a great little turnaround there. Both teams playing for some clutches. They're not playing, right, the most necessarily coordinated, high-strength macro, but the clutch plays, the individual performances have been great so far. Half-Water, I don't think I've seen an ult from him, so that was either, you know, kind of thrown into the winds or whatnot, as Iggy drops in, and that's actually the support. Hello, where did Luda Snow come from?
Yeah, big picks coming out from Iggy. Another nice 2. Lex gonna combine for it. And now, I mean, Scholars, they forced ONU onto that full reset.
Now might be a good time to stop them.
And despite the fact that ONU has been putting up a pretty decent fight here and there, this is still one of the beefiest time picks we've ever seen when the payload's in the conversation so far. And with the final judgment,
yeah,
things are looking rough.
It is not looking good. That's what the defense, the round 1 defense of that Punisher is able to give you. Whether it's finding picks or not, the damage output alone is just so pivotal to the strategy of Scholars of the game. A final judgment response coming out from Ohio Northern. Barbaric getting dropped low, but will be able to stay up, gets the pick onto Secret, might be able to find a second, combines with Half-Water to find Mylinus. That's both the tanks of Scholars down. So now, just a necessary reset. Secret with that ult on board, and not too far from Lex Uwu's, but it's still going to be time. Yeah, that pick from TM.
I have no idea how you find that one, Emily.
I don't know, but the impact of her Mantis, it definitely has been felt by the side of Scholars. Ooh, the tether coming in, it could find some impact, but the heal's gonna be able to actually sustain through it.
I think that was another strangling prison. Both teams dropped one in, and Barbaric Eric, unperturbed by that one, is invisible barriers as well, but all these ultimates are only going to serve to push the payload slightly faster, slightly further for Scholars of the game, as it finally rounds this last corner. Broden finds the first kill necessary to keep Ohio Northern in this one.
Yeah, but they're going to still be playing from a person behind Ace Llama just off that respawn. They'll be back into the fray soon enough. So the Scholars, I mean, they've been able to get it up to this point. 3.5 minutes remaining. They haven't been forced onto a hard reset yet. Another Mantis ult coming out from TM. Secret will be able to find one. Oh my god. That's, I mean, that's just all of them. That's literally just a team wipe.
3 minutes on the time bank. Look, I know I was trying to be a little bit more positive before this map. And it's difficult for me to be positive whenever I see a situation like this. As a caster, I tend to be... Back in my day, I used to be known for being one of the scarier casters to be casting your game because people would be upset with me. But at this point in the game, what can you do if you're Ohio Northern? You've tried different ban strategies. You've tried different hero comps. You've tried a lot. What do you do?
I don't know. I'm going to tell you straight up. It feels like anything that Ohio Northern has done, Scholars will get shut down by it for a little bit, but then it'll just be Ohio. Then they'll have a response. They'll have some sort of strategy that they pull out. They have some way that they're able to pull back and force just their way to work. And I mean, Scholars holding up that same setup that they were running, the 2-2-2 with Iggy and Roku taking that primary offensive role. Tomo and TM and Lex on that DP or on that support, and Mindless and Secret ever present on those tanks. Oh, and you.
We're gonna see.
I mean,
yeah, we're seeing the Hulk come out again. It's been the first time in a little bit that we've seen the Hulk as well as the Namor and the Hela. I think these are, you know, heroes we haven't seen since map 1 pretty much. So I'm curious to see what they can find with these 3 new heroes.
It's definitely stuff that's been a while since we've seen it. Doesn't mean that it can't work. Oh, but the spot through the waterfall into Barbaric, he's the first to drop, and that's the go sign from Scholars. Secret and TM each finding their own picks. Last tank taken down, Half Waters. Roku gets the extended pick onto Phaser. And yeah, now it's ONU forced onto that reset. Barbaric will swap back to the Punisher. Is definitely finding impact, and with this duel and with this flyer comp, you need to figure out something to deal with it.
One of the things I'll say is, despite the fact that they don't seem to want to play it, Barbaric Eric has looked very good on the Punisher when he has been on it. So I'm not upset to see it coming out here, but I am a little bit more upset to see Secret just walking things down immediately kills the other tank.
No, yeah, Barbaric, he's looked good on the Punisher whenever he's been forced into it. Unfortunately, it's hard to beat the impact that Roku has had on this match, on this scene. Same thing with Iggy. That just dynamic duo on the offense. Broden swapping over to the Hawkeye to try and, you know, maybe push a little bit more pressure from long range. Unfortunately for them, Scholars, they've got 2-3 now actively up. Their last 3 not too far on the side of ONU, only really close to 1.
There's the pulse cannon, and yeah, that's 2. Lex finds 1 as well. It's just, look.
I mean, it's just a shutdown. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say.
There are some games, there are some moments where the players are thinking it. Is there a chance for Ohio Northern to win this? Absolutely, absolutely. But there comes to a point where you can see the defeat in how the teams are playing. You can see the confidence. You can see how much they're willing to push and how little is being punished from the side of Scholars of the game. And it's hard not to call it a determined outcome.
Yeah, double judgment popped here, so it will just be a duel of the output from the Punisher. Roku, he will drop to the side of Harry. Iggy gets the response onto Broden, so this could be something. Triple ults popped for the side of Ohio Northern as both supports will go down, but for the side of Scholars, they've just been able to stabilize. The ult from TM coming through. The entanglement from Groot comes through, but Iggy finds 2. Harry with another, but Iggy finds the 3rd. Last 2 up are just the tanks.
Like, it's been brutal here. Like, they're trying to play for the clutch here. They do have time for another fight here, Emily, but look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ultimates invested for Ohio Northern to slam their head against the wall and not even get percentage on the board.
I mean, the good thing is that you got a lot of ults invested out of the side of Scholars. Only 1 on the board, a second one close. The unfortunate circumstance of that is that you need to get onto a open point. And the 2 ults that are about to be able to be combined are the entanglement and the pulse cannons. And that is just death if you get caught.
Half Waters is going to prevent one of those from happening. Gets that kill. Barbaric Eric with another. Things are starting to look doable, possible, not impossible. Is the name of the game here for Ohio Northern? But Secret
gets 3. He gets 4.
4, 5. 5 kills, the Penta. Barbaric Eric, the last to stand, and TM shuts him down. No more chances. Ohio Northern are put to rest.
That's game. That's just, I mean, like, that's just game. I don't have any other words for it. Secret literally at the end getting 5, count it, 5 from one ult.
There are some games that happen where when you're the player, we both, you and I, Emily, have both been competitive players in the past, where you shouldn't look back at the VOD, right? Because you're not going to gain anything from it. This is one of those games. If you're at this point, Ohio Northern players, I'm sorry that we are struggling so hard to say anything positive about this game. Good luck in the next one, because I think that a good mental reset can get Ohio Northern a chance to beat a team like Scholars of the game. But at some point, the momentum was completely lost, and they just didn't have a chance anymore.
Yeah, there were glimpses, there were moments where I'm like, something could happen here. You could put something together. And then Secret pops a 5-piece, Iggy pops a 4. It's like, guys, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say in this moment. Secret gets that MVP. I think the only person that you could argue, for it other than him is Iggy. And in all honesty, I think it's traded back and forth between the two of them. Moments where Iggy really popped off. I think Secret gets that, in my vote, or in my opinion, the MVP vote at that last second with the 5-piece on the last offensive where it looked like ONU, they might have been able to break through. They got a good 2 picks. And then Secret alone got 5, and it was like, all right, guys, I'm sorry. Like, that's just it.
I mean, there is more to look at for this bracket. I think that, quite frankly, with all due respect to everybody who's involved with this match, it's time to look somewhere else.
Yeah.
There is more matches to be played, of course. We take a look at the bracket here. Shawnee State, Baldwin Wallace is still on the cards. Then whoever wins that, most likely from what we've seen, it's going to be Shawnee State. Will go against ONU afterwards, right? We've got some more things to look at throughout the day. After this one, though, we are not going back to Marvel Rivals quite yet, as our next match to be streamed is actually going to be Valorant.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. And that's one of those matches when we were talking about kind of the soup of the 2nd through 4th place in pools. I feel like it's going to be two of those teams that are really tightly contested. We will be following a GLEC match on the Game Arena stream, Manchester and Ohio Northern. We saw in that opening match, Ohio Northern able to take it 13-9, but when we talked to those Manchester players later in the day after some of those other wins, you know, they talked about that match and they were like, hey, we really could have won that. Hey, come in. We really should have been able to take that. But, you know, as we like to do, it's a LAN environment. We're able to get some of the players to step on. Here you go. I got all tangled up. We got production. I'm sorry that you were not given the information as to who we got on broadcast. But welcome into the booth.
Hi.
Congratulations on the win for starters.
Thank you.
Great performance from you guys. It's been a pleasure to cover you guys all weekend. It's just been, you've given us some of the most fun that we've had on comms so far. So, I mean, first of all, how does it feel to be in Grands?
I mean, it feels pretty good. I don't think we thought we were going to get this far. We're super excited. We're super pumped up. The energy's really high. We're having a lot of fun. So I'm super excited to see how it's going to pan out.
It looks like you guys are having fun out there. I gotta talk to you specifically about one of those maps, map number 2.
Oh, yeah.
What does that look like from the inside? Because you guys are unable to get that first point. In the first 2 minutes, they push it up right to the line. And then from there, you just stop them on every offense that they have. So, like, what does that look like on the inside?
I mean, I don't know. We were really trying to figure out how to, like, combat that Wolverine. And I think once we started, like, playing around that, we realized, like, this is, like, how we need to position. We were like, we should probably stop being so aggressive. Like, we should just take a step back. Reset, take angles around that point was really important. So we definitely just like had to like lock in. We were like, okay, wait, like we gotta really lock in here. So it was definitely stressful, but.
So one thing I want to ask from beyond the booth is so far you guys have played 3 opponents, right? You've played Manchester, who have been knocked out by Baldwin Wallace, who are about to go against Shawnee State. That was your second match, Shawnee State, and finally Ohio Northern. it was pretty clear in that match that once you guys got to around the halfway point, you had all the momentum. But who do you expect to face in grand finals between those three teams remaining?
Honestly, like, I really have no clue. We're really just preparing. I think we prepared for like both teams, making sure that we like really know what we're gonna get into. I don't know. We're really just trying to. I think my team was like thinking all night. Like they were up in the hotel room and they were like, we need to figure this out. How are we like? What's our strategy? So we definitely spent a lot of time thinking about that. I think we get to watch the game, so that will be pretty good.
Able to just
get some good insights.
Yeah, get behind it, see some of that.
Absolutely.
I do have one more question about that matchup, because on that, like throughout the entire tournament, we've seen you on the Cloak and Dagger, and
Yeah.
it's been, I think, the most impactful hero that we've seen probably throughout the entire event. I mean, I know I asked one of your teammates about it after the Shawnee match, because
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I was reading it right and I wasn't sure if I heard you correctly, but I heard you say, did you get 67 assists?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I
So
did.
having that banned out in that map 3, was that like a real shock to you?
I mean, sort of. I'd rather. I'm a one trick, so I only play Cloak and Dagger, and you can kind of like tell that based on the profile. So I was kind of expecting to get target banned at some point, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like I do have the invis, in the pocket, so I feel like I always kind of have a backup plan for that. But it's definitely my comfort, and so I really like playing that hero.
I see.
And if I could ask just one more question, I know we already got you the one more question, but surprise, there's another one more question for you here. So far, how are you feeling about this tournament, right? You guys are the only, for Marvel Rivals, the only non-college team here. How are you feeling as just a group of ragtag bandits pretty much in this bracket?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're feeling pretty good. I didn't expect like us to be the only kind of like ragtag team out there compared to the colleges. But I know, I think some of my teammates mentioned this before, we all kind of like come from esports experiences. So while we not necessarily like played like rivals, we definitely played on Overwatch teams and stuff like that. Specifically, like that's what I do. So I don't know, we're feeling pretty excited, pretty hyped. It definitely is like kind of like different because it's like, oh, like we didn't really practice as much. Like I feel like we were kind of, behind like when it came to like practicing and things like that. So I'm actually kind of surprised, but that's
I mean, it definitely doesn't look like you guys have had a lack of practice. Like the struggle that you've been forcing of the top teams at this event, it's been wild to see so far, and I'm excited to see you guys in grands. We'll be covering that one later when it happens.
Yeah.
So excited to see what you guys are able to put up. When it gets later into the event.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yes.
no worries. Thank you so much for stepping into the booth.
Yeah,
It's been
of
a pleasure
course.
talking with you. It's been a
You
pleasure
too.
covering the events so far. I believe we're going to be cutting to a little bit of a short break, but when we return, we're going to have some Valorant coverage for you all. Our first semifinals match, Ohio Northern and Manchester squaring up. We'll catch you there.